Well, here we are for the special
All right.
panel. If you're not speaking, just put yourself on mute so we don't have any, hear any dogs or cats or anything. I want to thank everyone who's here. I'm sure a lot of you or most of you are probably vendors. We've been doing panels for a while. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Dave. Sorry, more people in the waiting room. There we go. I'll try to add people as they're coming along. My name is Dave, President Business Operations, Gem State Comic Con, and I'm glad you all can make it, and the ones that are coming in now. If you're coming in a little late, that's okay. No worries. The reason why we're doing a panel, and I have to say again, we've been doing panels for the last 3 or 4 weeks, but they've been fun panels with celebrities. We've had Felix Silla, Jackie Lastra, Christopher Darga. We had, what's her name from Farscape? Her name right now just escapes me. But those were a lot of fun, and those were for vendors, exhibitors to participate in, along with attendees as well. And they were a lot of fun. The reason why we are doing a panel over an announcement on Facebook and Instagram and all those types of things is because every time we do an announcement like that, we're spending the next 2, 3, 4 days answering emails or answering loads of questions. So we thought, well, maybe we can do this and people can just ask direct any question that they want if it hasn't been answered. So hopefully, we won't get a lot of questions after this is done. Maybe we will. We're just hoping that we won't because posting on Facebook, just loads of emails with questions. And it's a lot harder to get everything out with just 4 paragraphs, on a Facebook page. A little something about Gem State. Gem State Comic Con, was in production, started, getting the ball rolling back in April of 2019. So it's been over a year now. And we've been working very hard through that year to give Boise, Ada County, the Northwest, the best convention that we could muster. I think we did pretty good with it. And then we had COVID-19 that came into all our lives and has disrupted everybody. I have friends who work at Taco Bell. They don't know how they're going to pay their rent. I have a lot of friends who work IT companies that are now just getting fired. They work at home, they work for IT companies, and they thought, well, I'm pretty safe. And now it's turning out that they're not, because what's happening is these IT companies work for airlines, and the airlines are down pretty much. So now they have no work, and then the IT people have no work. So it's kind of like a domino effect on the economy. And I know every single one of us is affected by it. The first ones affected by it were in events, conventions, a lot of concerts, tree forts, all these things are gone. They were the first things to go when COVID-19 came into our lives. And they're going to be the last things to start back up when all this is over. And with events, that's hard because you're the first ones to go and the last ones to come back. And for me to say, oh, Gem State's been doing fine, there's been no heartache, well, I can't say that. That would be lying. There's been plenty of heartache. It's been a real struggle, but we're committed. We're committed to the vendors. We're committed to the exhibitors. We're committed to the attendees. We're committed to the actors, the celebrities, we're committed to everybody. And if we were just to lay down for this virus, I would feel that it was a loss. And about Gem State Comic Con, we don't lay down for anybody, any virus. We pull up the bootstraps, we go forward, and we never turn back, and we give the best that we can give, and that is what we've been doing. So after the virus canceled, didn't cancel, moved the first show from April to June 6th, well, a couple days ago, the governor of Idaho had stated that he's doing the 4 phases recommended by the federal government. For us, that was bad news. For every convention, that's bad news, because the 4 phases mean at the earliest a convention can start would be mid-July. And June 6th was in that target period of maybe phase 2. So we went ahead and had a meeting with a couple of people from the governor's office and the staff over at Expo Idaho. Luckily for us, we know a lot of people in government. We know a lot of staffers. We know the Expo Idaho people very well. So we're able to actually sit with them, talk with them, and have a meeting with them, which gives us an advantage over, I know, a lot of conventions who they don't get that kind of service. And so we've been very lucky in that, and we've been very fortunate in that, and very happy about that. We're a little worried about the June 6th date because Lilac Comic Con was also that same day, but they're about 6-7 hours away from Gem State Comic Con. So we weren't too worried about it. But you never want to have your event at the same time as another convention because we're all family here. The thing is, we want to treat the vendors, the attendees, we're committed to you, 100%. Give everything to you as best as we can. I'm sure everyone has opinions on our customer service. Hopefully it's all good opinions. Sometimes maybe it's not, especially now because we've been dealing with a lot, but we do our best to give the best. And as everyone knows, especially vendors, exhibitors, and attendees know as well, that even when shows are moved, the first date was moved, we had no vendors or exhibitors, I think maybe one, who were asking for refunds. We had no attendees asking for refunds because everyone knows that Gem State doesn't do refunds, they do credits, where if an attendee cannot attend a show, they get credited for a future show anytime they want. Same thing with vendors and exhibitors, and everyone was fine with that because everyone knows that Gem State's going to be here for a long time. It's not going anywhere. It's not a convention that's going to be one time and done. It's not. It's going to be here for years. Hopefully your kids, hopefully your grandkids will still be going to Gem State Comic Con. And that is what we're doing here. We want to bring a permanency of this convention and keep it here is forever if we can, hopefully longer than I'm around. And part of the history. We want people to say, I remember the first Gem State Comic Con, the COVID-19 thing, boy, that was like 30 years ago. You know what I mean? So we want to have a history. We want to build a history. Now for some good news. I'll bring you some good news. And then after I'm done, you guys can ask questions, and that's fine. If you don't have any questions, that's fine too. Between now and when Gem State happens, we're going to have more panels with celebrities. If you haven't been part of these panels, the virtual online panels, I suggest you do it. It's a lot of fun. You get to see a lot of things that a lot of people don't get to see because you're actually inside the actor's home, in their room, as they're doing a virtual panel. And Gigi Edgerly, we saw her daughter, her toddler daughter, Felix. The whole family came and said hi to everybody who was at the Zoom panel. It's always so much fun, and they give you a lot of input and tidbits of things you you don't see. You get to take a look in their bedrooms virtually. And it's a lot of fun. It's very exclusive, and it's not something you want to pass up. It's kind of a once in a lifetime, opportunity. And also that after each panel, we were giving away prizes. We were giving away comic books. We were giving away autographed Funko Pops. Like the last Funko Pop we gave away was a autograph from the actress who played Princess Leia in Rogue One, Star Wars Rogue One. And she's from Sweden, and she doesn't do conventions in the United States. So the lucky fan who won that has something that, they'll treasure because she'll never be in the United States. And this is something that vendors, exhibitors can also take part in with the attendees at these panels. And they're not excluded from winning. I believe a couple of the people who won autographed Funko Pops was a couple of vendors as well. So we don't exclude vendors because you're family, and the attendees especially are family. Without the attendees, there's no reason for vendors to be there. If there's no vendors there, there's no reason for Gem State to be there. So we're all connected. We're all one family. Expo Idaho, just a little news on Expo Idaho. They had informed us that they're actually going to be opening their buildings on June 13th. That is what the date they're looking at as a venue to open up their events. If all the phases go correctly and there's no hiccups in those phases that the governor had stated. Another thing is that Expo Idaho is also planning their August fair, the county fair that brings in thousands of people all over the state and in other states surrounding Idaho. We felt that we would let them jump in the pool first, so to speak, before we dip our toes into the water, because we want to make sure everything is safe and secure for the vendors, exhibitors, and the attendees. We want to make sure that everyone has had an event that they feel comfortable with. Now, I know a lot of people will say 90% of conventions have decided to cancel 2020 and then restart at 2021. Like I said in the beginning, we don't do that. We're fighters. We take it to the problem and we try to defeat it. There's also talk that COVID-19 will be around next year as well, and like a flu season, and it'll start up again. So what are those shows going to do? Are they going to cancel again? Or are they going to try to stick it out for that next round until they find a shot, a flu shot kind of thing, or a vaccine? It's something we're going to be dealing with probably for the rest of our lives, like the flu or the cold. So that's why we're also continuing to go. Vendors and exhibitors, they can't wait till next year. I know a lot of vendors, exhibitors, this is their livelihood. They go from show to show, event to event. That's how they pay their bills. So we feel we need to continue to do it because, they depend on paying those bills, and we need to be there for them, and they need to be there for us. We all have to scratch each other's backs. So Expo Idaho will open up June 13th and will go ahead with their county fair. Now that should be plenty of time for the announcement I'm going to make now. Gem State Comic Con is going to be September 19th, 2020. And then what's going to happen is we're going to have Gem States returning in April of 2021. So 5 months after the September date.
Yes, I'm just really pissed off.
Can someone turn off their mic, please? Yeah, that would be great if you can turn off your mic. Okay. So let's have respect and so forth. So September 19th will be Gem City Comic Con. Now, we're giving a lot of perks to the attendees and so forth. It's going to be a great show. And what happens September 19th, what that does is it puts us in a place where we don't have to worry about snow. You know, like I went to the train show in February of this year, and it was snowing during the train show. So we want to make sure it's not snowing. We want to make sure we don't get a lot of rain. So that September date is perfect for us, I believe, and for everyone else. Because when we make a decision, we put everyone else in that thought process and think of you guys as well and what's best. And that also gives us enough time for Expo Idaho to have their county fair in August and have other events before us. So that way we're not the guinea pigs. There's going to be several shows before us and then the county fair. And by that time, attendees will be comfortable to come to the event and buy your products, buy your artwork, buy video games, whatever you have, your comic books, and they will be comfortable. And also the vendors and exhibitors will also be comfortable with that as well, seeing that there's several shows before Gem State Comic Con comes back September 19th. With that new date, I want to thank everybody from the bottom of our hearts that you were patient. You know, having the original date, then changing it, and then changing it again. I think at this time, all our patience in every aspect of life is very short because of what we've all had to deal with the last month and a half or so, 2 months with the virus. And self-isolating, I was self-isolated for 30 days. I understand what a short fuse is when you haven't been outside for almost a month. So I understand that. When isolation came at first, we took it very seriously. We went absolutely nowhere. We were stocked up on a lot of things and we didn't need to go out, but you still climb the walls. So understanding frustration and impatience, you know, is understandable. And I just want to thank everyone for their patience and understanding. The great news is we're doing a show this year, which is fantastic. And we may be one of the only conventions in the country for 2020. That's I think is amazing to me. More big news is Expo Idaho, the venue, they want us to stay around for a long time. They're fantastic people. They've become almost like partners and family to us. The stuff we've had to deal, you know, together with them. It's almost like we've been fighting a war together because they want to open up just as much as we do and how much everyone else does. So what they did was they said, we want you back. We're glad you're back on September 19th, and we're going to do you a solid. We're going to give you the biggest building. We're giving you it all. So Gem State Comic Con not only is going to be September 19th, but it's going to be twice as big as the original last 2 dates and the second day. So it'll be even larger, which means we'll have more activities, more things to do. Gem State Comic Con has sold out of vendor spots, but soon we're going to be opening it up for more vendors to come in if they like. We have a waiting list of many vendors who were not able to get in to the original date. With a bigger room now, we're going to be able to accomplish and bring some of those vendors in with more activities. So that's 2 great news headlines, I guess you can say. That bigger building and a new date that the government says the virus will be at minimal or not at all. And what we're also doing, even though you have the county fair August and other shows before us, we're going to be working extremely hard on making sure that the venue's completely safe. We're going to be sanitizing like you would not believe, like never before. All your tables, all your chairs the night before the show will be sanitized and cleaned. All door handles, everything, bathroom sanitized, clean. And during the show, depending on the severity of the situation, we don't think there'll be much of a virus left. But what we're going to do is we're going to have volunteers every hour on the hour sanitize doorknobs, door handles, everything possible. We're going to do everything possible to give vendors and exhibitors hand sanitizers so you can have for your own personal. So we're going to be doing all of that, make sure everything's good. But that's just a precautionary measure because we believe with the county fair and all these events happening before us that we're going to look on this virus thing like, oh, that was so early 2020. You know what I mean? It'll just be a memory to us. And that's what we're hoping for. That's all I really have to say. I'm very optimistic. I don't want to come out and do videos really because a promoter should work behind the scenes. But we have a special situation here that I think requires some extra attention. And if you were here for the beginning of this panel announcement, you know why we're doing this panel. And I said it, just before when we started. And we will be releasing this video to people who are not here on Facebook and so forth. But you can feel free to promote yourself as September 19th with a bigger venue and so forth. So if anyone has any questions at all, I'm ready to answer them if you have any. And you can mute yourself off and I'll answer any questions you have.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Are you aware that that's the exact same date as Salt Lake FanX 2020? September 19th, you're counter programming against them?
No, that's fine. We looked at that. Nothing against, FanX. They're great. They're a big event. But FanX is, how do I say this? We're the anti-FanX. Gem State Comic-Con is all about allowing a family to be able to get in with minimal costs, vendor booths at minimal costs. We don't charge $300 to $600 for tables. We don't charge $50 entry fees, nothing like that. We're the anti-corporate convention, and that's how we label ourselves. So our fan base, most of them, which will average, we're telling you now, between 4,000 to 6,000 people, they're not going to go and drive 4 or 5 hours to FanX, spend $50 to walk through the door. They're going to be coming to Gem State, paying $10 to come in the door. A family of 4, $35, and the vendors don't have to worry about not making table. They're all going to be making plenty of table. Where at FanX, I know some vendors who never make table there. So it just depends. But
well, I just so happen to be one of them, so that probably might collide with my events.
Me too. Vendors, we have to throw out as big of a net as possible, attending event after event. I am currently signed up for Salt Lake. I imagine a lot of vendors are. So this is going to put us in that King Solomon decision where as of now, double booked. So something somewhere is going to have to give, and everyone's already taken our money in advance. So we have a decision to make.
Right, and that's the thing as well is when we had the June 6th date, Lilac Comic Con was that same weekend as well. And there was a couple of vendors who said, well, now you put us in a bind because we have to pick and choose which event to go to. And what I had said to them is, you're on for Gem State, but if you decide to go to a FanX or a Lilac, no problem. Just let us know. Your table is there for all eternity. We will keep it always for you until you want to use it. And we have a very extensive database. We don't lose information. If, for example, you're John Smith Comics and you're sick and you can't make Gem State Comic Con, you call us, let us know. You have credit for all eternity, and we'll always respect that. So, FanX, you know, when we were first announcing Gem State Comic Con with our original date, you know, they had not done their spring show. They weren't doing it this year. And then they started advertising mega cutbacks on prices to get in because they had seen our prices. So I know they're a little bit intimidated, but they shouldn't be, because we're two different clientele, two different types of shows, and they won't be conflicting except for maybe like in your situation. But that's okay, because our door is always open for you, whatever decision you make.
So if I do send you a message saying I have to postpone September and sign me up for the April show instead, using the same money, that'll be fine.
That'll be fine, and even if that happens, we'll let you know, hey, let us know ahead of time. For the April show, we will give you a choice of spots of where you want to be. We want to make sure we cater to you guys. We know what I mean? And
That's probably going to have to be the case for me.
yeah, and you're never forgotten, so don't ever think that you will be. You will not.
Just I'm hoping we're all being careful here. Remember the old remember why Boise Wizard World pulled out a year or so ago to make room for you guys, because they found out they were counter programming against San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, you're talking about Salt
They're
Lake?
worried there is a great deal of overlap with all the fans here. There's only so many heads to put around. I'm worried about that date.
Right.
Because do people from Boise go to Salt Lake? And you bet they do, because I've seen them there. So things might get entertaining. But you said you sold out of vendor booths. But how are your pre-sales for tickets?
We're expecting 4,000 to 6,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah. So FanX doesn't worry us. And like I said, you know, a mile down the road, $10 to get in, a family $35, a great show, or drive 4 or 5 hours for $35-50 a head. And that's a decision people will make. And with this COVID-19, a lot of people are not working, and a lot of people will still not be able to recover even in September. So if you're from Boise and you're looking at it, well, I can get into Gem State for $10. I really have no money, maybe a couple $100 in the pocket. Well, you're not going to be going to FanX. All respect to FanX. We respect all shows, everything. They're lovely, great people. I have no problem with them. I don't feel we're in competition with them at all. We're all one big family. But when it comes to those types of decisions, we are not worried at all about it. So is there any other questions?
Just basically for those who are already signed up for FanX, it's just a matter of like which one to go for. If we do go for FanX, is there any chance of a refund, or what you said that we would have our stuff reserved for next year?
Yep, you have a credit, and it never goes away.
All right.
10 years down the road, you say, Dave, I got a credit. I'll say, yep, you got it. It never goes away.
All right.
And so what you do, say you decide to go to FanX, well, you're good for the April show for Gem State, you know. But just let us know ahead of time, so that way we can, because there's a lot of vendors who want to get into Gem State, and we have a huge waiting list. And there's a lot of vendors, specifically artists. A lot of my vendor friends are artists, and they can't afford $300, $500 tables, you know. So spending less than $100 for a table, to them, that's fantastic. And the population between Portland and Salt Lake, or Portland and, you know, farther than Salt Lake, there's plenty of people for everybody in both shows. It's not like we're in the same city or anything. And it's two different clienteles, so we're fantastic with it. Any other questions? Anyone else?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I had a question. Do you guys think you guys are going to have to be pushing the date back if this continues to go on?
That's a good question. We don't think.
But what do you think would you do by then? Or, you know, do you think would it get worse? Do you think would it get better?
Well, I don't know if you're here for when I was talking in the beginning, what Idaho government's telling us, Expo Idaho is telling us, and we've communicated with CDC and what have you, and they're saying that by July, everything will be opened up 100%. Mid-July, Expo Idaho is opening up and doing full events. And in August, they're also going to do the county fair, which brings in hundreds of thousands of people. So we think it's going to be fine for September. It's going to be no problem. Let's just take it the worst case scenario and say it just explodes, the COVID-19 explodes. Then what'll happen is we'll just continue it to the April date. But what the government is saying, at every level of government, that this COVID is going to be gone by mid-July. 100% they're telling us. So I don't know what they know. They don't tell us everything, but all I know is all I know is what they tell us. And they're looking at the numbers. They have people who specialize in statistics and in numbers, and they're telling us life will be back to normal in mid-July if we all go by those 4 phases that was given to us by the governor and also the federal government. So it should be fine. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, I think it's kind of good that you guys are just pushing back the date rather than canceling it, and then, we have to wait a whole other year just for the Comic-Con to happen again, because everyone had already pre-planned their stuff, and ended up having to cancel everything.
Well, the reason why we did that is because we feel we have an obligation to the vendors and the exhibitors and the attendees. We put you on the same playing level. We treat you all with respect and a lot of love, and we're going to do everything that we can to make sure we give you everything that we can do. And we felt that canceling till next year isn't satisfactory. And it wouldn't be fair to the vendors or the exhibitors, especially them, because they need events to make a living, a lot of them. And to cancel out completely on them would be completely unfair, and we respect them too much to do that. That's why we've been fighting all along for these dates and to continue, because we just felt it wouldn't be fair for them, and especially also the attendees. We had big expectations, a lot of attendees, very supportive, been fantastic, the best ever, and we're not going to let them down. And once all this is over, we want some relaxed time, and we want to get a show going. You know what I mean? What better way to relax than to be with our friends, our cosplay friends, and all these people we know in the community? What better way to celebrate than to have the show continue, which we're doing. So thanks for the question. I appreciate it. Anyone else?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, if you just say your name.
Yes, Ring M. Hi. So I'm a volunteer for an anti-human trafficking organization, and we've been trying to get our foot in the door with this. Could we be able to get a booth at Comic-Con, or would that just not be possible at this point?
What's your name?
Ring M.
Yeah, I'm familiar with you. You go to the panels.
Yes. Hi.
What you have to do is, I'm not the boss of Gem State. Marina, she is the head honcho. Marina's the one that handles tables, vendors, exhibitors, all of that. And you can ask her that question and see if to get you in there. If it's a charity, if it's an organization that is nonprofit, 99% of the time, there's never an issue getting you in there. So
I'll let her have my table.
Because we're a huge charity. FanX, our big event in Salt Lake City, we raised like $4,000 for children who were victims of human trafficking. And so we would like to get that started here in Idaho.
Fantastic. Well, hey, I'm all supportive of that cause. Send an email to Marina, and you can go through the website for that, make it attention to Marina, and she will be able to make that decision. For me, I don't make those decisions, unfortunately. But she will be able to make that decision for you and be able to help you out with that.
Thank you.
Okay. And I think there was a question in chat, if I'm not mistaken here. They're having an issue with Zoom a couple minutes ago, so I didn't get what the news for this panel today was. It was about the new date, which some vendors aren't happy with, but I understand. The new date of September 19th for Gem State Comic Con, and also a larger facility for the convention. So that was what it's about. Anyone else?
No questions, just a prediction. You're probably going to get a lot of free spaces for your waiting list.
Bernard, right?
Yeah, Bernard. Yeah, I'm most vendors make money via a function of people seen, right? We just have to go to the big. If you had a choice between a small convention and a big one, we got to go to the big one just because that's more people, more palms we can press. So just you'll that waiting list is going to be fulfilled real shortly, probably.
We'll be positive.
Yeah.
No. I don't know. I've been to shows all over the world. I've been to shows in Russia. I've been to shows all over Europe. I've been to big shows in the United States. I have been to huge shows with huge attendees, and I've had exhibitors or vendors tell me they haven't sold a damn thing the first day. I've had vendors go to Ace and said they sold 2 items the whole weekend and lost about $800. So it depends on the economics of it all, and it depends on the individual vendor. It also depends on their product. There's a lot of variables that go into a decision in regards to a vendor. Some vendors can't afford $500 for a table, and we will never sell a table. When we get as huge as a San Diego or, what have you, or New York, say here in Boise, we will never charge $300 to $500 a table, because we're here to make sure all types of vendors can be able to get in, and we're not doing a money grab here. We're doing this for the community. That's why we only charge a minimal amount for tables. Next question. Anyone has any more questions? Hi, Serena. Thanks for joining us. If there's no more questions, I think we're good. So let me see. 2 more people have entered. So is it new people? Do you have any questions? Okay. Well, if you don't have any, well, someone mentioned the chat here. Okay, go ahead, Janice. Type in your question.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So question, you said September 19th is going to be the new date?
Correct.
Is it, just real quick, as you said, I jumped in late, sorry. And you said it's going to be at the Expo Idaho still?
That's correct.
Isn't that the same date as the Salt Lake City FanX?
That's
Comic-Con?
correct. And you'll have to make the decision to join the corporate evil empire or the rebellion.
I don't know. This was going to be my first year down there in Salt Lake. So I'm like, okay. So I didn't know that they were corporate, but I guess we learned something new. This is my first year over here at Gem State, and I'm from here, so I will be at Gem State.
Yeah.
I'm from Idaho, so I can go either way. I'm from East Idaho, so it's 4 hours to Boise and it's 3 hours to Salt Lake. So it's always that King Solomon decision.
You're being tugged in both directions, aren't you?
Yeah. So I get a feed from all sides, but Salt Lake's been square with me over the years. I've always been
good.
Yeah.
And any other questions? Janice had that question. If there's not any more questions, I think we're good.
Okay. One more question from the wife in the back.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm the sick lady who's been emailing you about refunds. Given my condition, I will not be going anywhere until we've got a vaccine, which,
Right.
given that we have no idea when that's going to happen, I was wondering what I should do about that, and you know, if what the procedure is for getting a refund possibly.
So, like I mentioned before, it's company policy. Nobody has the power to change company policy. So what would happen is you would just be credited for the April show or any show you want to do in the future. Now, we do not only do Gem State Comic Con, we have 6 Comic Cons in 4 different states as well. So you would be able to go to any of those shows and get a table as well as part of your credit. It's just not good just for Gem State. It's good for the other 6 shows as well. So you have a wide range of choices that you can make if you wanted to make a trip out of it and go to Medford or go to Reno. We have events there as well. So there's a lot of options that you.
What are the other 4? What are all 6 locations? Medford, Reno, and.
Yeah, well, we have Meadowlark. Let me admit this person. We have Meadowlark Comic Con in Medford, Oregon. We have Anna Medford, which is an anime convention in Medford, Oregon. We have Campbell Con in Reno, Nevada. We have Powerhouse Comic Con, which is our largest, in Pleasanton, California. And then we have California Republic Comic Con in Merced, California. And all vendors here who have credit are always welcome to take a road trip and join us for those events as well. Our home base is Boise, so we have a special love for our area, and that's why we're fighting so hard to have Gem State continue this year, where other conventions, we may have to cancel them out, specifically in California. Our Medford shows, conventions, we had to move one because of the COVID-19, and both of those will be on the same weekend in August. So one show will be on a Saturday, and the other show, completely different, will be on Sunday at the same venue. So it's never been done before, and it's very exciting, to say the least. And then our Reno event, it's in June, June 13th, I believe. So we're still have to make decisions with that. So you can understand that during this COVID-19, we're dealing with more than just Gem State Comic Con. So you can kind of understand, you know, my frustration. It's been, we don't get much sleep. It's been very difficult. So, any other questions? If there is, I'll look one more time. If there's no more questions, all right, then just making sure. Good, no more questions. So with that being said, for those vendors who have to make their decision, I say to them, make the best decision that's good for you. And just remember that Idaho phases might be different than Utah phases. And if you decide to go to Utah and they can't have their show because of some rules in Utah, well, you're always welcome here. You got your credit. You got your credit for April if you decide not to. I don't want to say too much about the other event because professionally it's not my business. But what I can say about Gem State Comic Con is that we've been working hard for you, for everybody. We've done our best to take care of you guys and to make sure you guys have a show where the vendors and exhibitors can make as much money as they can and where the attendees can buy the best products that's available that they can't find anywhere else, and that's why you vendors are there. And it's going to be a great show, no matter how you slice it, no matter what's on the same day or what's not on the same day. It's going to be amazing. It's historical because it's the first Gem State Comic Con, and I would say this: if you're a vendor and you have to make a decision, I would say go to Gem State Comic-Con. What do you have to lose?
How much lead time would you like to be?
Gonna be,
I mean, if things in September,
It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a great time, and it's just going to be amazing. So with that, I want to urge you to join us, and if not, we will see you soon. So with that being said, we can end this, and we'll see you all September 19th, and we look forward to seeing you, and thank you so much for your patience. We love all you guys, and we will still fight for you if there's any changes from September, but at this point, it's looking very good. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you guys on the floor. Have a good night.
Thank you, Dave.